And welcome to another edition of the Nerdy Agent Podcast. I'm here with my brothers and fellow nerds, Josh and AJ. The Timberwolves are undefeated. Anthony Edwards is going to be the second place MVP voter. Means he's basically MVP, but we have a freak in the NBA now in Wemby, and it's just not fair. Nobody has a chance anymore because he's just going to have better stats than everybody else. But Timberwolves are undefeated. They're going to still win the championship because Wemby is not going to be good enough to do that. We're super excited about it. AJ has a story to start.
So you guys, so here's the deal. So you guys talked about, I wish Rudy Gobert could catch the ball, right?
Yeah.
So I was tailgating with a friend at the Gopher game last weekend, and it was all his buddies, and he was like, his wife was out of town, so he was like, well, do you want to come with this tailgate and go to the Gopher game? I was like, yeah, sure. So I met up with all his friends. They're all huge sports nuts. So we're talking Timberwolves, and they said they have a stream going where they can't even count how many times they talk about the fact that Rudy Gobert cannot catch the ball.
He can't catch the ball.
And one of them said, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually had an idea that they should do. And I said, well, what's that? He said, I checked all the NBA rules. This is totally allowable. Rudy Gobert should wear football gloves in the basketball game because then he would catch the ball better.
He can do that?
And he never shoots.
There's no way he can do that.
He can. And in fact,
can he take it off to shoot free throws?
Kobe Bryant, yeah, he could do that. Kobe Bryant wore gloves in a couple games way back when.
What?
It's not against the rules. You can wear gloves. And then one of them suggested and said, just cut the index and the middle finger off your right glove so you can shoot free throws with your, that's the fingers you'd use to shoot free throws, and you can do it.
Couldn't he just stick them between his jersey and his
He could do that
shorts?
too, but he truly he just pushes the ball at the basket when he shoots free throws. All he needs is these two fingers.
I feel like one of my
but then I said, I told the story.
Genius.
I said way back when in a college baseball game, I hit a ball off my shin. What did you think I did the next game? It was a new product.
You put an Evo Shield on.
Evo Shield. What's Evo Shield doing now? Billions.
They probably are.
Think about how many kids would buy the gloves if Rudy Gobert started wearing gloves. It would work. My son would be like, "Get me the gloves. I need
Holden
the gloves."
would love the swag for sure.
And they're like colorful.
He's not the only guy in the NBA that would benefit from football gloves.
100%.
It's actually illegal. It's actually legal.
I didn't look. I didn't fact check.
I love when we go to the batting cage because we all do this together. And Holden, it's his turn to hit, and we have to wait because he's got to put on his wrist protector. He wants to put on wrap something around his elbow.
We cut a hockey elbow guard, and Holden uses it as a foot guard in batting practice on front toss.
That's hilarious. One of my biggest issues though with the NBA is that it feels like every other sport attempts to do a lot of these things where they kind of circumvent the rules to do something, right? Like the tush push is a decent example. In baseball, they've added all of these things. They did the torpedo bat. They do all these things. The NBA, hasn't been a single guy since the best free throw shooter of all time to shoot underhanded free throws when we have half the league shooting 50%.
It's crazy.
Nobody is I'm surprised that if that's actually allowable, I'm surprised nobody's done it because that
this
actually
is going to go viral and Rudy's going to hear it.
It would help you win games. So every other sport does that. They all do it.
Don't worry, Rudy. We're going to get into single-family rent prices pretty soon. I know that's what you came here to listen to.
Rudy didn't come to this
But
podcast.
Hopefully you are getting some value out of this intro.
I'm looking this up afterwards. But today we are going to talk about, like Josh said, single-family home rental values and amounts and kind of what they're looking like. Rents, yeah.
Yep.
The amount of the
market
rent,
in general.
what the market looks like, because there was an article we were reading about it. Do you want to give them a quick hitter on what the article was about?
The increase year over year, based on August numbers, for single-family rentals in the United States of America hit its lowest increase in 15 years. So that's a pretty big deal. Single-family rents have gone up dramatically. I think
you say dramatically since when?
Since 2010.
Yes.
It's because it was a space that was largely untapped, I would say, for a long time, until these larger entities started buying up single-family rentals and building them now, and B, a lot of consumers who bought when rates were really, really great and then they wanted to move end up being like your mom and pop type rental property owners with one or maybe two properties. I think that's actually the largest subset of that market right now, and it's probably going to continue to be. And it's going to really hurt inventory, and it's one of the things we've talked about for a long time. But that said, if the if what we're seeing on our properties, the taxes, the insurance are going up dramatically, and the rents aren't increasing, then these investments start to get a lot less palatable.
I think so. I sold during the COVID years. That was kind of like the thing, right? Remember 2020, everyone was bored. So they got to find a new hobby. And so like real estate investing sounded very sexy and people wanted to get into it. There was a lot of people looking into the short-term rentals. And you've seen that at least now come full circle a little bit in some of the coastal markets where you're seeing inventory like crazy showing up and people wanting to get out of that space because it's not quite doing what they thought it would do. And then you also, though, had more people, similar to what we were doing. We started in 2017 buying rental properties and then just renting them out. And it made a lot of sense at that point in time when the rates were solid and the rents were in a place where the math made sense. So I had a lot of clients that knew what we did and wanted to be a part of that. I would say probably about, 18 months ago to 2 years ago when the rate spike started happening, that's when that math changed dramatically. And now the math has even changed more dramatically to the point where you look at it, you go, buying a single family rental as a new person into that space, there's not really hardly any opportunity right now to make money on a single family rental from a cash flow standpoint after all the expenses are tied into it. After you consider the rates, it's cheaper to rent than to buy theoretically at this point in time. So it has changed the game a little bit in terms of how I interact with a lot of my clients that are wanting to be investors, because I just kind of tell them it's not a good time right now. But this is one of the biggest reasons is I think the rent rates have just stabilized at a time where all of the expenses have elevated, escalated, and the rates have gone up. So the monthly payments have gone up.
Why do we think the rents are stabilizing?
I have my hypothesis.
People are running out of money, I would say, probably.
Yeah, at a like a large scale level, I mean, there's more indications in the economy, and we've talked about this. Like jobless rates are going up.
We don't really know because there's no stats.
Sure, but they have been going up,
kidding.
right? New jobs are not getting added as fast.
Yep.
Inflation caused a lot of problems in terms of people's monthly budgets and how much money they had for other things. So the cost of renting a property, if you're somebody that, isn't a homeowner, becomes tough. Like there's only so much money people can spend. And I think there were more people probably making a decision to move in with their parents versus to rent a place with their friends. I think there's more of that happening, which leads to this supply and demand imbalance. There's also probably a little bit of a supply glut where more people got into this market in the 2020 timeframe, and therefore there was more inventory. So just the balance between supply and demand got tapped out. I do think there's gonna be a big exit of people in the single family rental space just because the math isn't working the way that they thought it would, which could, I don't know, be interesting to see how that changes the game a little bit.
It'd be better for home buyers. For sure it'd be.
It would be good for home buyers
for home buyers.
Yeah, if you had more inventory on the market, that would be a good thing for them.
The other thing that I was thinking, just to AJ's point earlier, you had mentioned the majority of rental properties right now are like mom and pop, one or two.
I think they are.
That's
I want to say last time I looked at the data,
it's
a big market.
You could probably assume that a lot of those homeowners also have 3.5, sub 4 interest rates probably.
Yep.
And if you are a mom and pop homeowner and you've had someone that was renting your place just because you bought a second house back in 23 or whenever you bought your second house, you might be less likely to be gouging your rent prices on that place if your mortgage is reasonable.
Your margins are better.
Your margins are really good.
I think the interesting thing will be, do we start to see those turn over with the 2 out of 5 rule coming due for a lot of those people soon?
Yep.
Because that again, we're not accountants, but that tax exemption starts to get prorated as you get past that 5-year mark. So
I think there's also though just this reality that even if you're making some money now, you are seeing your insurance prices go up. Mm-hmm. You are seeing your expenses in terms of owning a rental go up in terms of both the expectations of tenants have changed a little bit in the last 5 years. They're wanting a higher quality product when they're living in a single family rental. And the cost of labor has gone up pretty dramatically. Insurance has gone up. And I'd also say I think more of the cities and municipality stuff is getting more expensive because I think most of them have been like, I don't really want a bunch of these single family rentals. They want that inventory for more permanent residency, whether that's like it or not. That's kind of more of what at least I've seen, at least locally. And so when all of those pressures converge at the same time, even if you have a good rate and you're making margin there, you're seeing that margin shrink. So you've probably done pretty well in the last 5 years because equity prices have risen so fast that you've made a lot of wealth in terms of the valuation that you bought it from versus what's worth now. But I don't know that everyone's going to feel comfortable betting on the future equity growth the same way they did in the last 5 years.
Seems fair. Multifamily's got some news too.
What's the news on multi?
Rent prices down in multifamily year over year. I mean, if you guys remember, there's like cranes everywhere in Minneapolis for like 5 years.
I'd be more concerned about that even than single family.
National multifamily vacancy rate. What do you guys think that was in September?
What was it last year?
In September of this year,
I don't have that
I would bet 14%.
7.1.
Well, that's higher than I was too high.
But that you were too high. But that's a record high.
Yeah.
For the index.
Wow.
There's still new units hitting.
Because multifamily, is that considering the large apartment buildings?
So apartment rent was down 0.8%. National multifamily.
It's 2 to 4?
It's 2 to anything, I think.
2 to anything.
More than one, I'd say.
Oh, okay.
Because our term in Minnesota would be 2 to 4 for multifamily.
7.1%. National median monthly rent down $11 to $1,394 a month. The rents are now below their most recent peak in August of 22. That said, the other thing, this is what's so interesting when we talk about like year over year numbers, is it's just like inflation, right? We always said like, well, they're going to get it back to 2%. It's like, yeah, but 2% of what?
Exactly. Of last year.
Yeah. So it's
which
like
is 8% of the year prior.
Exactly. So it doesn't really.
But are you saying rents are the same as they were in August of 22 for multifamily?
They're below, it says.
So if you think of how much inflation has happened since August of 2022, the expense line has gone up dramatically.
But in 2021, they had like a banner year. So rents are up 22% since January of 2021.
I wonder what expenses are up.
That's a fair point too.
Probably more than that.
Probably
Similar at least.
That seems fair. Yeah, it's rents are not really keeping up. So you're seeing that, and we're seeing that kind of across the buy side market where it's not as active as it was.
No, and the house hacking is just from a multi perspective is just way harder than it was because where the interest rate is, like when we bought our place in 2019, it was like the math just was perfect. Right. I've never seen math be more perfect than where it was. And then we refinanced and the rate was super low. And now I have people talking and I'm looking at it. It's like, you're really just buying this to like have a little bit lower rent payment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And you own and you're paying down the principal, but it's not like you live in this unit and the other one pays your rent
and
or your mortgage.
I think if you're willing to live in a duplex, a triplex, or if you're like a single person and you're buying a single family home, it probably, I mean, Aaron on our team, this is kind of what he did, is he bought his house and he rented it out to 3 buddies for some period of time.
That can still work.
And that's great. And that can still work and it'll mitigate a lot of the costs. And then eventually he was like, I don't want to live with these guys anymore. So he just lives there with his son now.
Exactly.
So it's not, that's where some of those, I still talk with people like that, or even like the scenario that you and Kate did. It's like, I've told people, I'm like, owner-occupied multifamily is probably like a pretty strong position to be in right now as a buyer. I don't think that we wouldn't be looking at duplexes like Josh just said right now. No. So that demand there is probably zapped a little bit.
It's lower. The value on our duplex has basically stopped. It hasn't really increased in 4 years. It's kind of like the
because
exact
it's all
of what it was. So there is opportunity.
It maybe
there.
has gone backwards, to be honest with you, because the benefit multifamily is just a math equation.
That's the thing about it.
So investors buying multifamily aren't like, I want to own or occupy. They're like, what is the math? Correct. And if the interest rates go up and the expenses go up, the prices will go down.
But if you are a buyer looking to buy multifamily, I'm just making sure they understand, like, the math isn't going to necessarily be what your friend tells you the math was in 5 years ago. But you can still be in a better situation than you'd be renting this luxury 2-bedroom apartment in West End.
That's
because
the
your
trade-off.
payment's going to be less and you're going to be buying down the principal.
Always trade-offs.
Yeah. So I think there's also a component of that of like, if you think about all the apartment buildings that have gone up. I mean, that's at least locally.
Yeah, we've seen a ton.
But that is trickling through everything because they got to fill those. And so even with us, sometimes like our tenants are the demographic that might want to move to the West End and go into an apartment building. And so then rents stabilize a little bit because the alternative is an apartment building.
And it's not just apartment buildings either. I mean, I've sold homes. Robert Thomas is doing this on like every brand new single family rentals. There are brand new single family rentals in Victoria at the Huntersbrook neighborhood in like a little adjacent street. And I think they're rent for like $3,000 to $4,000.
I'll be curious how long that lasts for. It may become a thing where they'll sell those
They eventually will probably end up selling them. I actually, what's funny, I just sold a condo in Spring Park, where they built it in 2005.
Rented it out.
To be a condo building. They sold like 10 of the 180 units. Market just tanked to crap. Couldn't sell the other ones. One entity came in and bought the other 170, and now they're selling them.
Huh.
So they had them for like 20 years, and now they're selling them off one by one. So like when we got in there, we were
That's happening in Excelsior right now.
that's in Spring Park. So it's just like west of there. Same sort of thing.
Oh, you sold one of those. We talked about that.
Yeah. And I think my guy was like the 5th guy to buy since they started selling them again.
So weird.
And so we were like, I called the agent. He's a good friend of mine. And I'm like, what parking space do we get? What storage space? And he goes, we'll just put them in the best situation. Like we'll put it like right by the elevator below where his unit is. And we'll give him the storage spot right there. It's the biggest one because we get to like pick because it was just renters that had them.
Yeah. So weird. I wonder what that does to values.
It's super interesting. I mean, he bought the most valuable unit in the entire place.
Sure. I'm just curious, like as they sell them, how does that even work?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, that's all we have this week on the Nerdy Agent Podcast. And as always, remember, go Wolves.
Go get your gloves, Rudy.
And be better.
Rudy.